Hello, and welcome to episode 32 of the Mindful Knitter podcast. My name is Claire, and I am very happy to have you join me today. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and welcome. I'm so glad that you found me if you're new. I hope that you have fun hanging out with me today. I am covering so much yarny goodness. It has been about over a month since last time I podcast, so I have so many projects to share with you guys, and a couple of yarny acquisition-y goodnesses to share with you as well. And if you are returning, you will notice that we have a new yarn setup here. Isn't this nice? I'm so happy. If you haven't seen my yarn stash redo video, I will have that linked down below this video in the description. My yarn stash looked very different before, and I spent a while reorganizing and kind of doing like a makeover. I got new furniture. Everything is organized differently. It's just so good. I am tickled beyond description. I am so happy with my yarn stash. I was very happy with it beforehand just because of the yarn it contained, but now it is much more beautifully stored and displayed, and I can enjoy it so much more now. I'm just so happy. So if you haven't seen that video, you can check it out. Again, I'll have it linked down below this video. But back to this video, I'm coming to you from the southeast of the United States, where I live with my husband, Alex, and our three Great Danes, Murphy, Nolly, and Obi. I also have two goldfish named Mantis and Caterpillar, but they don't really make tons of appearances on this channel. If you are new, this is a podcast and a channel that is just dedicated to yarn. When I first started it, I was mostly knitting, so that's why it's the Mindful Knitter, but I've expanded my yarny obsession. So it's not just knitting anymore. I've got a lot of crochet to share with you guys today, in addition to some real good knitting. But I also spin. I have a spinning wheel, and I'm trying to get more into weaving. So it's just a lot of yarny goodness. So if you like that, then you are in the right place. Any other things to mention? If you want to follow me on social media or connect with me on social media, I don't really actually love the phrase follow me on social media. Sounds a little sketchy. So if you want to connect with me on social media, which is really the reason I have the social media, is to connect, then you can find me mostly on Instagram these days. It is the.mindfulknitter on Instagram. You can find me on Ravelry too, and the Mindful Knitter Pod on Ravelry, and we do have a group, but I'm just going to be real honest with you. I forget Ravelry exists as a social media platform, and I basically just use it as a way to look at patterns until I fall asleep at night every night. So you can find me on there, and I am happy to be friends on Ravelry. I do upload some projects on there, but I'm not real good at it. So Instagram I'm better at. Instagram I'm better at. So those are ways to connect. And then, of course, if you want to email me, you can email me at clairethemindfulknitter@gmail.com. All of that information, in addition to all of the important information about the yarn and the designers, etc., all that stuff is going to be in the description down below the video. So if you need any of that, you can just click on the little more button and it will give you more. I think that's all. Again, I'm so rusty, it's been a while, but I'm real excited. So I'm probably projecting a lot of energy. That's okay, we don't mind energy. So for today, very kind of traditional vlogcast kind of stuff. We're not really vlogcast, it's just a video podcast stuff. We're gonna do finished objects, of which I have a few to share with you. A few you may have seen if you watched my winter projects video, but I know most people didn't watch that. It had less than 1,000. I think it still has less than 1,000 views. So, and most of you have probably not seen that video. So these will be new projects for you, or at least newly finished projects for you. And then I have a couple of finished objects that were just newly finished in the last week. And then I have a few whips to share with you. Is this the most whips I've ever had? I think this might be the most whips I've ever had, but that's okay. They're all at it's a very manageable whip level. So, and then at the end, I will share a little bit of Yarny goodness acquisition with you because I got a very exciting order in the mail this past week. And we'll just check in about the Make-Along too. And I might share a little bit about what I've been reading and watching and that kind of thing. We do normally have, I like to put in a mindfulness practice in a lot of the podcast episodes. Today I don't have one kind of in mind to share with you or to kind of guide you through because I have so many projects to get through today. But that is something that we do periodically as well. So if you are new, I will share mindfulness practices fairly regularly, I guess. And I do actually separate those into their own little videos. So there is a playlist on my channel. I think it's called mindfulness practices or something like that. But I have a playlist that has those. So if you ever want to follow along with a mindful practice for crocheting or knitting or yarning, then feel free to check that out. We'll probably just go ahead and get into the projects for today because I'm so excited to share them with you. So the first one I am wearing, ta-da, I wore it on Instagram, so you may have seen it already, but this is my Yarnicorn sweater. You guys. Okay, check this out. Look how cute it is. I did a split hem because I just wanted this to be just a very cozy around the house kind of sweater. I did not follow a pattern. I used very roughly the cast on number and maybe like one measurement from the pattern Arts Sweater by We Are Knitters. But besides that, I kind of made up everything else. So this is not the Arts Sweater. So if you are looking to knit this is not a pattern that exists. But the Arts Sweater is a great pattern. It does look very different from this. It looks very different from this. The sleeves are different. This is different. The hemline is different. It's a different length in the body. It is different. So, it's a great pattern though. So if you are interested in these kind of like quick knit projects, the Arts Sweater by We Are Knitters is a good one. I've knit it before and I really enjoy it. So this is a very popular yarn on social media. This is the We Are Knitters Yarnicorn colorway. The yarn itself is the Petite wool by We Are Knitters. And I do really like it. And I will continue to wear this, but these single ply yarns for garments, especially at these large gauges, can you guys see this pilling action? Check out that bad boy. So pilly and so fuzzy. Yeah, so there's a lot of that going on in this sweater. Can you see it? I could have shown this to you all fresh and new, but that wouldn't have been a very realistic representation of what this yarn does with use. And I have worn this a lot since I've cast it off. I think I bound off a month ago, over a month ago. So I've been wearing it consistently for a month and it's pilling, but I kind of knew that going in. And I knit this exclusively to be a wear around the house because my house is always cold because my husband's always hot kind of sweater. So I don't really mind it too much. It's a little bit of a bummer just because the yarn itself is so pretty and for it to not wear great, that's not ideal. But I don't really mind in the grand scheme of things. I'm still enjoying wearing it. It still makes me happy and I'm still cozy AF. So it's all right. There isn't a whole lot else to say about this. I knit about a medium-sized sweater, medium based on the Arts Sweater pattern. I've knit a couple of We Are Knitters patterns now and I always knit size medium. And this is about how it fits. So for reference, and this did take 4 skeins of the Petite wool. And then I pulled a little bit extra from my stash in just this pale pink. It's actually a baby alpaca yarn, but it was about the same gauge and I liked the pink, but I just needed a little extra for the hem and for my collar. So a little more than 4 skeins went into this. I think I used less than 4 skeins for the arts sweater though, so if you are interested in those things, that hopefully gives you a little bit of point of reference. Nothing else to say about this, I think, other than it is super warm, and I'm wondering in my choice in wearing it today, but I wanted to show it to you. So we are getting some warmer weather, or we've been having some warmer weather here the last couple weeks. It's gonna be another cold snap though, so winter's not over yet. Don't let it fool you. Winter is not over yet, but we're getting close. So that's my Yarnicorn sweater. I'm enjoying her immensely. I have a couple of other finished garments that I might show you guys next time. Because again, I showed them on the winter projects video, and then they've shown up on Instagram a few times, but I haven't worn them on the podcast yet, so I'll see if I can show them to you guys next time. One is a crochet cardigan that, again, I just kind of made up as I went. It was kind of loosely based on the measurements of another pattern, but the cardigan itself does not exist other than the one that I own. And the Goldfinch sweater made by Haley Bailey. That's a great crocheted sweater, and I love it. So I'll show those to you guys in an upcoming video, but I don't have them with me today because we have enough to be getting on with. So the next thing I'll share with you guys is this awesome hat. Look how cute. This yarn is a fingering weight held double. The yarn is Jems Luxe fibers, and the colorway is Athena. Almost positive, because I think Aphrodite is more romantic, I'm pretty sure. So the Athena colorway. And this pattern is the classic ribbed hat by Purl Soho. I knit it a little short. And I knit it a slightly smaller than what the pattern calls for. I think I did it 4 stitches smaller than the adult medium. But other than that, it's knit to pattern. I just, maybe it's half an inch shorter in length. And then it's 4 stitches less for the cast on. The crown is so cute. It's just that kind of, I don't know, that to me feels like kind of a classic crown. So cute. And I love this yarn. It feels like it's going to be fairly durable. I've worn this hat several times now. We do have a slight halo to it, a slight fuzziness coming out, but it is a sock yarn, so it's got nylon in it, so it should be pretty durable. You can see me wearing this in a couple of pictures. I won't do it now because my bangs were kind of precarious today, and I don't want to mess it all up before I have to go to work this afternoon, or just to have messed up bangs for the rest of the podcast, because that would also not be super fun. But this fits with just a very, very slight slouch at the top, with the folded brim. Of course, if I don't fold the brim, then it doesn't really have much of a slouch, but it fits great. I also, one of the reasons that I knit it slightly smaller than pattern, like when I was looking at the numbers for the adult medium, I was just thinking, I don't know if I need a hat that big. And this is a superwash yarn, so I knew that it was going to expand a bit and stretch a bit after it was blocked and after it's worn, and just as time goes on. And I didn't want this hat to become floppy. I didn't really want something super fitted, but I also wanted it to be secure and, you know, snug-ish. So I think that I have achieved that with this hat, and it's just so cute and chirpy. I just think that is the happiest little hat for the winter, and I have been enjoying it quite a lot. I wore it skiing a couple weeks ago. So good. So I think that's all there is to say about that hat. Now for something very exciting. I feel like we're just like clipping along here. Okay, so guys, I did a test knit for it's Hunt Hand Knits. I think it's Mary Hunt is the designer. And I just am still so thrilled that I was able to test knit for her. That she just released this weekend the Owl Nouveau cowl. And it is just as beautiful as all of the pictures depict. I've got some pictures up on Ravelry and on Instagram. I'll show it to you guys now because it is truly glorious to behold. Are you ready for my owl cowl? I don't know if you ever could be. Here it is. Isn't it beautiful? Seriously. This is so amazing. She did a phenomenal job with this pattern. This was my very first time doing stranded color work. I had that on my to-do list for this year to try stranded color work, and I'm so happy that this was my very first stranded color work project. It was immensely satisfying. You know, obviously you've got to pay attention to this chart. But it was great. It's just 2 colors, so you know you're only working with the 2 colors, which made it a lot more manageable. And the way that she wrote the chart was great. Her system for catching floats was great. I guess people, oh my gosh, I can finally show my floats. I've never had floats to show before. Okay, everybody always wants to see floats. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. It's my first time. Here are my floats. Look at them. But seriously, how satisfying is that? So satisfying. And you can kind of see where I wove in my ends at the end, but so satisfying. All of these neat little floats. So she had good recommendations for catching floats through the pattern so that it all stayed very nice and even. There are, this motif does repeat thrice. So I got 3 little owl friends. And let's put this bad boy on for the first time because I've never actually worn her. Oh, this is nice. Look! Oh my gosh. You guys. Oh my goodness, I'm like a mystical owl wood nymph of winter. Well, that's just nice. All right. So, oh my goodness. And if anybody's like given me any cheek or anything, like I can just very easily and walk away. I don't know why that's the first thing that comes to my mind as far as like uses for this cowl, but whatever. So awesome. It's like I have a secret friend. So good. This is a great pattern. So if you are interested in color work or trying color work, Hunt Hand Knits, Art Nouveau cowl, this is magical. The yarn that I used is also beautiful. This is a DK yarn, so it doesn't take a bajillion years to knit, which is nice. But it's also not like super, super heavy, but it's like a double thick because you've got your floats back here. So it's a hefty, warm, it's a substantial cowl because it's basically DK 2 layers of DK yarn. But the yarn that I used, I'll keep showing it to you because it's lovely. The yarn that I used is Ashen Bumble. Ashen Bumble partnered with Mary Hunt for this pattern, and they did some kits for this, and the kits are available. So the kit that I used is the Ochre and Barnowl kit, which was just right. I wanted Barnowl colors, and they gave me Barnowl colors. So you can see this beautiful speckling that's happening. There's some mauve and some like very dusty pink and some little bits of gold and some darker, almost like burgundy-ish speckles. And then this ochre is just this beautiful, beautiful, almost shiny, it's so saturated ochre, with like the most subtle tonality. I'd say it's a semi-solid yarn. And those two just combine for a beautiful, beautiful cowl. The yarn is very soft and squishy and plump. It's delicious. So I'm just so incredibly thrilled with this. I feel like I really accomplished something. I'm just so happy with it. I'm so happy. I feel very honored to have been able to test knit for her and to have been a part of this experience, because this is, I think that she designed a work of art. So this is amazing. Maybe you should go knit one of these. They're so good. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about it. I test knit it, so I knit it to pattern. I guess sometimes you make modifications in a test knit. I did not. I just knit it exactly the way she said to. And it turned out perfect. So, hooray. So good. And I had plenty of yarn. 2 skeins of Ashen Bumble's Merino DK was perfect. I think I had a few grams left of each. I think I had over 10 grams left of each skein. So I had plenty of yarn to work with. So no yarn chicken here. I feel like I need to just bask in the glory of that owl for another second. I've also been noticing, I've been watching a lot of podcasts where there are 2 people. So like Grocery Girls and Needles at the Ready. And I really like that they have little natural pauses in between showing you projects, because they've got like their natural banter between the 2 of them. And I like slower paced things just in general in life. So when I just go from project to project to project, it feels a little like, I don't know. Does that feel too quick to you guys, or is it fine? Are you too busy really knitting or crocheting or crafting to really like mind? I don't know. I feel like I like go through it too quick though. So that was my little transition, I suppose. So my next finished object, which I think is my last finished object for today. Yeah, so I had 4 FOs to share with you guys. These were not all done in the last, week or so. Like, it's been over a month since I last podcast. So I've had plenty of time to work on these between them. Although I say that, one of the reasons that I hadn't podcast between last time and now, because I podcast in January and it is now the beginning of March 2023, in case you're watching this sometime in the future. I had about 2 weeks where basically all I did was work. I did almost no knitting or crocheting or anything. I did almost no crafting. I was working 10, 12-hour days. And it was a little intense. I took one 24-hour period off so I could go skiing, but that was it. During that whole like period, I just was working, and so then I had to recover from that. And then I think somewhere in there I got sick for a week or so, maybe. I can't remember now. It's all a blur. But this winter ended up being real busy, so I don't normally go so long between podcast episodes, but life definitely got a little hectic for a minute. But I'm happy things are back to more normal again. So this is my last FO. I cast this on last week and I finished it because this was very addicting. This was my very first brioche project and I'm so happy with it. The squish is unbelievable. You guys, my friends, this is squishy. It's delicious. So knitting this was so satisfying. I did 2-color brioche, which is so much fun that the two sides are different, but very coordinating. So satisfying. We've got this lovely little I-cord edge, as you can see. These yarns are gorgeous. I am very sorry to tell you that I don't know what these yarns are. Besides the fact that they're both DK, I have no information for you. And they're both merino. But that's it. That is all the information I have. Because both of these were, one was caked up, one was balled up in my stash without their labels. Complete newbie mistake. So, rookie mistake. So yeah, I am so sorry I can't share with you guys who dyed this beautiful yarn. But I know where I got this lighter blue one, the one that's kind of my main color. That's just, you know, gorgeous. I know where I got it. It was a small dyer in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And I want to say that there's Raven in her business name, but I'm not 100% sure. But we might be in luck because I am planning on going to the Middle Tennessee Fiber Festival in a couple weeks. If you're going, let me know. Maybe we can hang out. How fun would that be? I'll be going on that Friday because my niece's birthday is that weekend, and she lives in Nashville. So, you know, they're with her parents. So I'm going to be going up there to visit my niece, and the festival was just at the same time. And I was like, I get to do a yarn festival and see my baby niece for her birthday. Yes, please. So I'm very hopeful that that dyer will be there. I have no idea if she will be, but I hope she is. And I can find out the name and I'll share it with you guys. But yeah, so this is my very first brioche cowl. Oh, and this is, oh darn, I thought I was so prepared and I had everybody's names. It's the Bertie cowl, but I can't remember the lovely designer's name. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. I will look up her name and I'll have it in the description down below for you guys. I don't know why I do this every single time. And I was so happy thinking I was so prepared this time and I knew the names of everything. Oh well, but it is the Bertie cowl and it's a great 2-color beginner brioche pattern. It's just, you know, you can see it is a very standard 2-color brioche. But I think it's just lovely with this I-cord and the squish is so good. And let's see this bad boy on. Where am I? I did mess up and I made accidental increases. So I tried to, and I didn't decrease them back down because I was like, I'm not doing that with brioche. I'm not tinking back with brioche. Not when it's my first time. So I just left them. Whatever. It just gave me a little bit more brioche goodness, but I'm trying to wear it with the slightly narrower side up. Yeah, so this is how this guy fits. I think it is lovely. So good. And it actually like almost any way it hangs, it looks good. It was hanging a particular way last night, just very naturally, like symmetrically, something maybe, I can't remember what it was doing, but yeah, it looked so good and it's so squishy. And I feel like if it's very cold and I've got like I've got like a coat on for the winter. I can just kind of turtle up and be real cozy. Just like this. Yes. So, first time doing stranded colorwork, first time doing brioche. I'm on a roll for 2023. I'm doing all kinds of adventures this year, apparently. I'm actually doing a lot of adventures this year now that I think about it. Outside of knitting too. Huh. What a year. Other things to mention about this. The only other thing to mention would be I did make this as part of our Make-Along that's being hosted on the channel right now. We're doing the Hygge Make-Along. It's almost over because it's a winter Make-Along, just to bring some coziness into the cold and dark time of the year. But when's it over? March 19th, March 20th. I said March 19th originally, and then in my last video I said March 20th. So, you know, 20th, 19th, whatever. You've got, it's a casual Make-Along. So if you are submitting finished objects for that, for prizes, then feel free to do the 19th or the 20th. I don't really care either way. The 20th, March 20th is the first day of spring. So that's why it technically ends on March 19th, but you can have until the 20th. It can be like the last hurrah to celebrate springtime coming. But we're doing kind of like a little mini Make-Along within the Make-Along. It's a little brioche-along. I'm not offering any special prizes for that. Those finished objects just count as regular Make-Along projects. So they're still eligible for prizes, but no special prizes for brioche projects. Yeah, so my friend Chelsea and I had talked like in the fall about doing a brioche along. Maybe it was even last year when we did the first Hygge Make-Along. It's been a while, Chelsea. So we said, oh, it'd be so fun to do brioche because she really likes doing brioche. I never tried it before, but I thought that it looked so squishy and interesting, and so we decided to do that. And I think a couple other people joined in. Rhonda, are you doing it? A couple other people have joined in for the little mini brioche along that's going on with our Hygge Make-Along. So you're very welcome to join in on that too. It's just, brioche is just extra cozy. So it seemed like a great thing to do during the Hygge Make-Along. Seeing if there's anything else to say about this. I don't think there is. It's just lovely. It's a great size, I think, for all adults, and it's very customizable. You can just end early or keep going. So it's a solid free brioche cowl pattern, and I am super pleased with it. It's beautiful. One more look at this beautiful yarn. I just love it. I just love it. I also have not blocked this. My other projects I've shown you, I have blocked. This I have not blocked because it's so squishy, and I can't stand the thought that I might block this and everything go meh. So I've just left it unblocked for now. I do think at some point I will block it, or maybe I'll just mist it or steam it or something, because my darker yarn, it looks smaller than my lighter yarn. They are both DK, but this was wound up in a very tight cake for 2-3 years. I got it at a yarn shop several years ago, and they caked up all my yarn for me, which was nice of them, but they caked it all so tightly. I've never seen it. It's like a solid rock. So I have a couple other skeins in my stash, unfortunately, that also got caked like that. But I might go through and see, I might re-cake them myself more loosely to kind of let them relax a little. Or maybe I'll just put them back into a skein and you know, soak them so they can relax. Anyway, but I'm curious to see if this yarn will relax and puff up a little bit. I tried to knit more loosely with the dark yarn so that it had more room to kind of bloom and it wouldn't like mess up the fabric too much as it relaxed and bloomed with blocking, because I didn't want to knit half of this with like a super relaxed, plump, fluffy skein and then the other half with a super tightly wound skein and then block it and then all that energy get weirdly distributed in the final fabric. So I kind of tried to knit more loosely with it to help mitigate that a tiny bit, but we'll see. For now, it works just fine. Unblocked. I may never block this. It may have to be washed eventually, so we'll see. But I didn't want to, I wanted to keep it as squishy as possible for as long as possible. So that's why that guy has remained unblocked for now. Now moving on to whips, of which I have many. How many whips do I have? Let's count them. I'm sorry that I've jostled the camera. I'm so sorry I've jostled you. I'm full of energy today, you guys. I feel like I'm usually a lot more mellow than this. Is that true, or am I always like this and I just am lacking self-awareness? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whips. I have 6 whips. That might be a record. Yeah, I normally do not have this many whips, but there's a good reason. One of these is a long-term whip. It's my Twists and Turns shawl by Stephen West, which we are about to gander at. And the other one is a year-long whip, which we'll talk about next, I guess. But here is my Twists and Turns shawl by Stephen West. I participated in the MCAL this year and obviously didn't finish in that month. That's okay. I wasn't really planning on it because I do not knit very quickly. I crochet pretty quick, I think, but I think most people crochet faster than they knit. I crochet significantly faster than I knit. I can... When was it? When I was sick, I crocheted that lace shawl with it was over 100 grams of fingering weight yarn. It was like 120 grams of fingering weight yarn, an entire lace shawl in a day. So I crochet so like leaps and bounds faster than I knit. I would say I'm an average speed knitter. But this is my Twists and Turns shawl. Isn't it nice? And I always feel like doing this like I'm like a frilled lizard. Yeah, I love it. I really do. I have had a tumultuous relationship with this pattern, but you know, now that I'm knitting it outside of the MCAL and I'm doing it at just I wasn't doing it at a super speedy pace to begin with because I just knew I wasn't going to get it done in a month. But I don't feel any pressure whatsoever about it now because holiday gift knitting is over with, the MCAL is over with. That's all done. It's over. I don't have to think about it at all. I just have little birds outside chirping for the beginning of spring. I have no pressure around my knitting right now. So this is a lot more enjoyable. And also, what do we think about these colors that I picked? A little bit of a pat on the back moment for me because I love these. And I don't know, they might not be your jam, but these are definitely my jam. So I am working on clue 3 right now. So I have my first little landing strip. Get that guy back out. I've got my first little landing strip, which I did not knit correctly, but that's okay. I'm not ripping it out. There's no ripping this out. This is gonna stay just like it is for all of eternity because these little guys take me so long, but I did not knit this correctly. If you know what this looks like, you can look at this and you can see, Claire, you did not knit that correctly. And do you know why? Because I didn't watch the tutorial for this. I just saw cable front, cable back, and I was like, oh, I've just learned how to cable with all these little antler cables. I am an expert in cabling now. I'll be fine. I was not fine. I did it wrong. But do I care? Not really. So I honestly think that when this shawl is done and when it's being worn, there's enough going on here that nobody's gonna notice that this landing strip looks different from this landing strip. We can see this one looks correct because this one was knit with me listening to what Steven said to do for his pattern. Do you see how neat that looks? And honestly, this is a lot more enjoyable to knit because it's very satisfying. So I actually just knit this section this morning. I cast it on, or I picked up these stitches this morning and I was knitting on this before I podcast with you guys. Yeah, that looks a lot more neat than this does. What in the world? So this was much less satisfying, I must say. It's satisfying that it's done, that I never have to do it again. But this is actually kind of enjoyable because it's kind of nice to see these neat little lines squiggling back and forth. So this I'm not minding. And my plan is to... There's several repeats of this section. So my plan is to do one repeat a day until it's done, which should be this weekend, and then bind this off. And I am definitely doing the little the little I-cord embellishments in my cables because it's so stinking cute and I love it, and I need more of this neon pink in my life and in this shawl. So I'm gonna get this neon pink, because these are actually two different yarns, because I started with another accent color at the beginning, and when I started knitting with it I was like, that is not bringing me joy. Away it goes. And I went through my stash and I paired so many different pink yarns with this until I landed on this neon pink that was in my stash, and it has little like flecks of orange in it, neon orange, which is amazing. And I was like, oh look, a miracle has been born. And that's how we got here. But I only had 50 grams of this, so I got on Nanette Studio. That's the lovely dyer of this neon happiness. So I got on Nanette Studio's Etsy shop and I found a neon pink yarn that is almost an exact match for this. This is the Grapefruit. I think this is the Grapefruit Light, or the Light Grapefruit colorway. It's different in that it has these little darker pink speckles versus the neon orange speckles, but the base neon pink is almost identical. This is maybe slightly, just a little lighter, but honestly, can you really tell? So anyway, I'm going to be pulling up this color into these beautiful little antler cables with an I-cord accent, and this is just going to be happy as can be. Yeah, so we're going to get clue 3 done. What am I doing? Why? I'm trying to show it to you, but there's nothing more. It's just these little tails. It's just these little guys. I'm going to try to get this done this week so that clue 3 can be done and out of my life, and I can move on to clue 4. I'm really wanting to get clue 4 done before the end of April because, well, I'm wanting to get the shawl done before the end of April. If I don't do it, that's okay, but that's kind of my soft deadline, or my desired deadline, my dream deadline, because I'm joining a new mystery knit along that starts at the end of April. So I would love to get this done in the next month and a half, which I think is doable. I think a month and a half is enough time for me to knit a few more inches of this guy and then fill all of this in with, because this whole space needs to be filled in. Oh gosh, as I look at that, that looks like it's going to be a lot. But I know it decreases as you go, so it's not as much as I'm afraid that it is. So I'll finish that and then add on a little bit more depth to the middle because I am going to do some little add-on here. I should be able to do all of that in a month and a half. I feel like that seems reasonable. The only way that it won't happen is if I get distracted by a bunch of other whips, which doesn't usually happen to me. I'm usually like a 3-whip max kind of knitter, crafter, but I don't know, lately I've had some serious cast-on-itis. So that's how it's going with my Stephen West Twists and Turns shawl. I hope that you enjoyed that little update. I'm really enjoying it this morning. I actually woke up kind of sad for no apparent reason, and my remedy was Stephen West and hot chocolate, and that worked great. I feel much better. So this next project is a crochet project, and this is a year-long mystery crochet along that's being hosted by Expression Fiber Arts. I'm so happy with this project. It's so much fun. So the 2 year-long mystery make-alongs that Expression Fiber Arts are doing this year, they're both blankets, and they are both 12 skein sport weight blankets. So do you think I was gonna knit that? No, ma'am, I was not. But crocheting a 12 skein sport weight blanket, sure. Over the course of a year, sure. And honestly, if I'm going to do a big 12 skein, that's a big blanket. If I'm going to do a blanket of that magnitude, a year feels like a very good way to do it. So I just do 1 section every month and I'm golden. So I have January and February already finished. Clue 3, I think, just got released today. Maybe yesterday, but I'm pretty sure that Clue 3 for March got released today. But I've done January and February's clues. I'm excited to look at March. I might look at March's on Sunday because I like the idea of working on my blanket on Sundays. So if you don't want to see these clues ruined, look away now. But I'm going to show you clues 1 and 2 of my mystery crochet along with Expression Fiber Arts in 3, 2, 1. Isn't it pretty? So the pattern is called Multivalence, and I cannot remember the designer's name right now, but yeah, it's Multivalence. This is sport weight yarn. The yarn I'm using is Knit Picks Upcycled Alpaca sport weight. It is an alpaca, wool, and acrylic blend, and it's great. It's using the leftover fibers from their mill, so they upcycle it into a new gorgeous yarn, and I'm gonna have 12 different colors, and this is gonna be freaking awesome. I'm real happy with this. And these first 2 clues, as you can see, are not very big. Each of these just took a couple hours. I thought I saw some sort of creature. I think we're good. Yeah, so there's the clues 1 and 2. I think they're very pretty. So I've been wanting to do a circular mandala kind of style blanket for a while, and I'm very happy to get to do it in this kind of context because, again, just 1 section a month for a year feels much more manageable. So yeah, super pretty. I don't really know what else to tell you guys about it. Here's like a more close-up, I guess. Yeah, so very pretty. I've put it away so it's safe to look back if you were not looking. And it's being housed in my barley purl. Oh gosh, I think this is barley pearls. Yeah, my barley pearls bag. So they're on Etsy. It's got little bats, little brown bats and moths. I do love bats and moths. I'm actually wanting to engage on a mission to save the bats, but I haven't. We have a bat box that we need to put up, so we need to put up the bat house. I'm gonna look that up to see where's the best place to do it and what time is best to do it, etc. Because I want to, if I'm putting up a bat box, I want to do it correctly in a way that actually benefits the bats and doesn't just trick them. So that's exciting. I've got my year-long crochet blanket. Next whip is my socks for Alex. These are taking a long time, but that's okay because I'm not really working on them very often. These are my very portable out and about project. So if I'm doing like, if I'm traveling, if I have to wait in line somewhere, if I'm on the phone, you know, stuff like that, these are what I pull out. So I've already got one sock finished, though the foot is too long, and I do think I'm probably gonna rip back, which is a little annoying to knit an entire sock only to have knit it too big and then to go back and have to redo the, that's just annoying to me because it takes so long to make the thing to begin with. But that's all right. So this is Alex's slightly too big sock and its friend. So we're getting there. This is fun yarn. It's Patons Kroy or Patons Kroy, turquoise stripes. And it's just knitting up nicely. He's been wanting some more like thick, hard-wearing boot socks. So that's why I'm knitting him a lot of Patons Kroy lately. And I don't mind, it knits up quickly. I knit it with a US 1.5 rather than my normal US 1 for fingering because I would say this is a solid sport weight yarn. In no universe does this knit up like a fingering weight yarn. It just doesn't. So I use a US 1.5 and that gives me a good, thick, sturdy fabric without it being so dense that it's bulletproof. And I just do fewer stitches. I do 4 fewer stitches. So I knit him, usually if it's a fingering weight, if it was fingering weight, I would cast on 64 stitches for him. So instead I cast on 60 stitches for him. And then I do like a slightly shorter, what's that, the instep? That tall part of your foot right here before it narrows. I do it slightly shorter just because the stitches are bigger, so I do like one less row than usual on the gusset or the heel flap. Yeah, so these are coming along. I kind of want to get these done sooner rather than later though, because I'm getting a little over them. They've been around for a while now. This is the longest. This might be the longest I've ever had a sock project on the needles. I had his Christmas socks on the needles for quite a while, but we took a break in between there while I had to source more yarn. So those have been on the needles for quite a while. I think I'm ready for some socks for me. I think yeah, nothing else to say about those. Heel flap and gusset, DPNs, US 1. Those are coming along. So my next project to share with you guys, this is almost done. And by almost done, I probably have another foot or so to knit on it, but it's very close to being done. And this is living in my project bag by Puff Stitch, which is gorgeous. It's a waxed canvas bottom and just lovely. My favorite bags are from Puff Stitch. And this is a wrap that I am knitting up. That's super fun. I've actually never seen it like all out in one place before, and it is kind of fun. So this is another altered pattern. So the pattern, it's the original pattern is the Elementary Wrap by Purl Soho. It is a very just classic and simple kind of, simple, not boring. Simple not meaning boring, simple meaning minimalistic. It's a very kind of minimalistic and classic wrap, just stockinette, giant rectangle. I think that they have the Elementary Wrap in multiple yarn weights, so you can, and they're free patterns, so you can find the Elementary Wrap pattern that matches the yarn weight that you want to use, so you don't have to guess on stitch counts and that sort of thing. So I found the one for DK weight and then promptly changed it. All I really wanted it for was for the cast on number, and I liked the way that they did their border. So I changed the cast on number as well because their pattern called for, I think, 400 grams of DK weight yarn. What originally inspired me to make this wrap was this boucle yarn that is awesome. This is from Ritual Dye Works. Ritual Dye. It's the Woolfolk Flet. It's the DK weight boucle ultramerino from Woolfolk, and Ritual Dyes dyed it in this beautiful color. Is it Morganite? I'll get it for you guys because I have the, oh, what? I have a ball band. Rhodonite. It's the Rhodonite colorway. So that wasn't right. I mean, it was some kind of rock name. Yeah. So I got 4 skeins of this on a D-stash on Etsy. So excited about that. And when they arrived, I was like, well, I have to make this into a minimalistic rectangular wrap. I thought about some other things, but I just wanted something big, cozy to wrap up in where I could enjoy this very soft and squishy boucle yarn. But these are 50-gram skeins, so I only had 200 grams of this boucle, which was not going to be enough to get me a sizable wrap. So I improvised and I pulled from stash, and I had this Angora yarn that I dyed with avocados. That coordinates very nicely. But I really wanted the texture. I wanted this to be a very textured wrap. I wanted it to be soft and squishy and textured. So I pulled this Suri silk from my stash as well. This is from Stella Luna Fiber Company. This is her tobacco leaf colorway. And you can see that it mimics all of those mauvey. This actually is a very peachy pink, but the mauve doesn't clash. I don't think the mauve clashes. It's got that like gold in it. This has flecks of like a buttery yellow and then some light gold. And so I just held these double here and threw in some eyelets. And I think that's nice. And then I continued. And then I didn't have enough of the Angora because I only have 50 grams of that Angora. So I was like, well, I need this to be at least 300 grams for this shawl because I wanted it to be like, I didn't want to schlank it, but I wanted a substantial wrap. So I found another 50-gram skein of yarn in my stash. This one is a one-of-a-kind by Nanette Wake Studio. It's a superwash merino and nylon blend. I think it's 85% superwash merino. So very soft and squishy. And it has these beautiful little speckles, but it's also kind of a peachy pink. And I held it double with tobacco leaf, but then I decided I need the middle of the shawl to be different. So I held it double instead here with a white Suri, and then I threw in some eyelets with some garter ridging, and then I continued on my merry way. And I'm getting close to the part where I will knit this section on this end. So this is coming along swimmingly. This is a very soft and squishy wrap. I just am so pleased. It's real soft. It's gonna be snuggly next winter. Oh my goodness. But really, this is great. So I am very pleased. I originally wanted it to be all one color. I wanted it to all just be this lovely boucle, but it wasn't possible. And so I just improvised, and we've got this, which I don't mind one bit. Part of me sort of, as I'm looking at it now, part of me sort of wishes a little bit that I had just done all of it in a white Suri, just to keep it very light. But I like this. Like, I do like it. So I don't think I regret my decision. And if you know me, you know I get bored easily, so the variety does help. Having the different colors is nice. It probably would have been nice to have it all like these lighter colors and to hold this back for a different project. But that's okay. I don't mind. I think it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be so soft and squishy and just, oh, so nice. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this next winter. So the other change that I made to the pattern was I cast on 10 fewer stitches than the pattern calls for, because I really wanted to make sure I got enough length out of this in case I wanted to wrap it kind of like a scarf. So I didn't need it to be wider than this. This is plenty wide, and this is pre-blocking, so it will grow, I am sure. But yeah. So this is my lovely Suri Boucle Alpaca Angora Merino wrap, and I think she is pretty great. I really like them. I am glad though that I did this lighter section right here in the middle, because I really do like that quite a lot. So so good. It's hard to describe how squishy. Oh, it's so soft. That is so good. So that's a good project. And coming along very nicely. And I don't know when she'll be done. I'd love to get her done this week, but if I'm working on my twists and turns shawl, may or may not get done this week. It might get done next week, but that's okay. 2 more whips. This one's, I've got mixed feelings about this one. There's not a whole lot to tell you about this one. I'm trying to make a crocheted basket, and I don't know how it's going. This is pretty floppy. I started out very enthusiastically with this project, and just, I don't know how it's going, you guys. I wanted a kind of big ovular basket for my larger whips, and I don't know. I just pulled yarn from stash. I'm holding yarn quadruple, so I've got 4 strands here of fingering weight. And I just don't know. This is the base is almost done, and the base is done, and now I'm growing up the sides. The sides starts like here, but it's so floppy. So I don't know. For the rest of, so as soon as I start running out of the pink, I'm going to, I keep getting distracted by how floppy it is. When I run out of the pink, though, I'm going to start doing mostly white coming up the sides, and then I'll have like little handles. And so the idea is cute. Should I have used a pattern? Probably. Probably so. Yeah, I just don't know, you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I probably should have used a pattern. And I do think typically when you're knitting baskets and other accessories and things that need structure, I don't think wool is ideal. I think cotton is usually a better choice. And I just don't have any cotton yarn. And part of the reason I wanted to do this basket is I really wanted something that would be stash busty. And I just wanted to use up several of my yarns that I'm just not going to really, because like this is a colorway I'm probably not really going to use. This is a great pink for this basket, but this pink, it's actually showing up nicer on camera. It's showing up more as a neon pink. In person, this pink just has a little bit too much blue in it for me. I think on camera it's showing up like a nice vivid neon, and if in person it looked the way that it looked on camera, I would keep it, but it doesn't. It looks a little more to the bluish purplish end, and that's just not my favorite shade of pink. So, and then I've got like these super like rustic, they're mill spun, but this is from a small farm where the sheep it's not a merino, it's a more rustic yarn, and I can't remember the sheep breed at the moment. But anyway, those are just all yarns I'm not going to really use for other projects, so I thought they'd be good to stash bust for a basket. And then I've got some other yarns too that I've thrown in this. So, you know, that uses up like, I think it was like 5 or 6 skeins of yarn. So I'm going to continue with it, but it's not thrilling me, as obviously you can tell. And if you guys have any ideas about it, please feel free to comment below. Let me know what your ideas are. Do I need to just completely rip it out and give up all hope and crochet a basket using cotton? Or do you have other thoughts? One of the thoughts that I had was to reinforce it after I've crocheted it. So after I've got the sides and the handles and everything crocheted, reinforcing the sides so that they do stand up straight. Honestly, one of the things I was thinking of was those really like heavy duty, bigger zip ties, because they're kind of the perfect shape and length, I think, to just like stick down in there. And if I needed to, I could maybe just kind of like stitch them in quickly and just do that along the perimeter so that my sides will all stand up. Because I think we've got zip ties in the garage. I just don't know. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know, because I would love to turn this into the cutest basket for my, like as a little project basket. I think it'd be really cute, and I think it'd be very happy to work out of when I'm working on sweaters or large shawls or that kind of thing. So, yeah. I feel like I'm acting a little dejected, but maybe I am a little dejected. So, that's that one. This one's more exciting, though. So, this is actually a brand new craft, which I am having fun with. This is in another puff stitch bag. This is my Barnowl one. Barnowls are one of my very favorite animals, so when I saw that the owl Nouveau cowl was calling for testers, I was like, I must have that cowl. I love barn owls. Oh my goodness. Ever since I was a child, since I was a wee Claire. Anyway, I have picked up a new craft. I have recently started watching Tony Lipsy's YouTube channel. It's TL Yarn Crafts. You might be familiar with her. I think that she is commonly known as the Crochet Queen. And she is indeed a queen of crochet. She has like her whole little own yarny kingdom going on, and it's amazing. She's got lots of tutorials. She's got lovely patterns. She has a delightful podcast, and she is just a delight to behold generally. So I have been on a huge TL Yarn Craft kick lately, and she wrote the book. I think it's the guide to, I'm probably not getting the title completely correct, but it's the guide or the complete guide or something of that nature to Tunisian crochet. So, can you guess what I have started doing? She just shares so many wonderful projects about Tunisian crochet. They look so nice. I just had to try it. So, I got on Amazon and I got a Tunisian crochet hook, and it fits with one of my cables from Knit Picks, just so. So I didn't have to get a cable or anything. I just got the hook. This is a Knitter's Pride H hook, so it is a 5 millimeter. And I got this hook because I bought one of Tony's patterns. So I got her pattern, the Westmont Shawl. And, oh, I wish I had it to show you guys. Often if I'm knitting a pattern or I'm making a pattern, I have my iPad so I can show you guys the pattern so you know what it looks like for reference. I'm so sorry. My imperfections are glaringly obvious on this podcast. But it is a triangular shaped shawl that utilizes simple Tunisian crochet stitches and the mesh stitch or the mesh, whatever, Tunisian crochet mesh something. I just started this like yesterday. So yeah, so I think I started this last night, and here is what we have. And I am loving this fabric. Doesn't this look so cool? So cool. I just think this is awesome. This is showing up more orange on screen, I think, than in person. This is very much I think a true peach color, like a true peach pink, not peach orange. It's a very generous skein. This has 490 yards in the skein. So very generous. I don't know if I'm going to use all of it, but I might. We'll see how I like it. I'm about to start a mesh panel. So the pattern is like 3 of these sections of a more like simple kind of stitch, and then 2 broken up or divided by 2 mesh panels or sections. So I have this yarn, and then my second yarn is this guy. So these 2 beauties are going to become this lovely Westmont shawl by Tony. Let's see. I love them. I think this is called Straw Flower. These are both from I don't think the yarn shop's open anymore in Pensacola, Florida. It was, and I don't think I have the tag with me. No, I left the tag upstairs. I don't think the yarn shop exists anymore, but I will put it down in the description below because she might still have an online yarn shop going. I think it's something Studio. Might be Studio South Pensacola. Or Yarn Studio South Pensacola. It's something along those lines. I will put it in the description below for you though. But her shop front is not open anymore. I think she recently closed her shop, and I don't know if her online shop is still up and running. So I don't know if you can get yarns from her anymore, but whatever information I find will be down below for you. Again, here's this beautiful yarn. So, this is 100% superwash merino. Yeah, so Tunisian crochet. So much fun. I'm really enjoying it. It is a little bit of a learning curve, but not too bad. The fabric is just so cool. Like, again, look at that fabric again. Like, it's just so cool. I love that. It's so neat. I don't have anything like it. And it feels very squishy and just so awesome. The texture is so awesome. So the way that Tunisian crochet works, it's different from normal crochet or traditional crochet. The reason you have this long cable is because you have a lot of live stitches. So as you're working your way across, it is similar to knitting across a shawl that you're increasing as you go and growing as you go. Because you've got all of these stitches on this cable. But unlike knitting, those stitches don't stay live. So with Tunisian crochet, the right side faces you the whole time. You never turn your work. And so you're making new loops and putting them onto your hook and your cable as you go in one direction. And then as you go the other direction, you are closing those loops with new ones. So by the time you get back to this end, you're back to one loop on your cable. So you are creating a whole bunch of new loops going one direction, and then you're pulling yarn through and you are closing them going the other direction. It's very cool and very satisfying. And I think I'm a Tunisian crochet fan because I needed another craft. I dropped my hook. Oh gosh. Okay. I got it. We're good. So this has been a very fun adventure. I am learning Tunisian crochet right now, and it's a delight and a half. I'm just really enjoying that a lot, and I'm very pleased because I was worried that I was going to get excited about it and then not like it, but here we are. I like it just fine. So I think those are all of my projects at long last. It took over an hour to get through them. I've just been crafting up a storm over here, you guys. So I will share with you a few yarny acquisition type things. So first thing I'll share with you is not yarn, but it is a yarny acquisition. So this is the Knitter's Pride chart holder, and it's cute as a darn button. Look at this mess. Is she not so cute with her little crafting home? So incredibly cute. And on the inside, we have a little zippy pocket. We've got a little place to hold a pen or pencil. And the way this works is you button up right here and you set her down on some sort of hard surface, and she holds your charts for you. So this long magnet can kind of help. You can move it up and down as you're going so that you can keep track of what line you're on in the chart. And you've got these 3 magnets just to kind of help everything stay in one place. And it is just super useful. This was great while I was doing my Nouveau cowl. And I mean, you can store other stuff in there too, I'm sure. I mean, you can like throw in something before you button it all up, because you know it's got a little free space in there, so you can maybe store like the rest of your pattern that isn't attached to the chart or what have you. But this comes in 2 sizes. This is the smaller size, and oh my goodness, look at this little cat playing with the yarn. It is a little dirty because I have used it. And I have a lot of dog in my house. With 3 Great Danes, it's hard to keep things pristine. So I used this throughout my whole time knitting the Nouveau cowl because this baby kept my chart nice and handy. It was great. It was so helpful. I didn't have to do anything to it. It just sat on the coffee table right in front of me, and all I did was move up my little magnet to track what row I was on as I went, and I can reuse that chart again because I didn't highlight anything or I didn't mark it up at all. So I can just use that paper copy again because I do want to knit that cowl again, but in neon colors because I think that'd be so much fun. Yeah, so this is a handy little guy. I know Coco Knits also has a chart holder that is very nice. This one costs less, so it's a little bit more budget friendly. And I had never done color work before. I'd never used charts before. I'd never needed a chart holder before. So I didn't want to buy the more expensive one before I knew whether I would like any of this or not. So I got this guy, and I figure if I ever need another one in the future, I might do the Coco Knits one because it comes with all sorts of fun. Well, it doesn't come with accessories. There are a lot of accessories available for it, but that does make it even pricier. So maybe at some point in the future, but I wanted to give this a test drive before I invested in the Coco Knits version, and I really like this a lot. I think it's extremely cute, and I will continue to use it. So maybe at some point in the future, I'll get a different one, but not in the foreseeable future. This guy's gonna work great for me. And I love knitting lace, so I could see this becoming in handy too with lace charts because I haven't read any charts for lace either, but I anticipate I probably will because I like lace. So yeah, that was a great acquisition and I wanted to share that with you guys. My second acquisition. You guys, Artemis Yarns had a collection called the Legends collection in January, maybe. And I ordered stuff. I've never ordered anything from Artemis Yarns before. I've never used Artemis Yarns, but I have been watching them on Instagram for quite a while. Stephen West talks about them quite a bit, and I just have been so in love with their colorways. And when I saw the Legends collection, I was like, oh, that looks really interesting. Well, then they came out with a colorway that I was mildly obsessed with. And I was like, well, I must have that. So I guess I'm placing an order for the Legends collection. It also coincided with the time that I was working 10, 12-hour days. And this was my reward for myself. Did I bribe myself with yarn to get my work done? Yes, I did. And it worked. I got all my work done. So I'm going to share with you guys my little Artemis Yarns yarn haul. So good. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, very excited. So this is a lovely, like, boutique hand-dyed yarn. So this is a little bit more pricey than you know, things you can get at a big box store like Knit Picks or that kind of thing. So this was definitely very much a Claire's trying to bribe herself with fancy yarn so she gets her work done in a timely way. This is what this is. This was not an Etsy sale or a D-stash or a, you know, this was Claire was bribing herself with fancy yarn. So first things first, I got one of their like classic little bags. I think that they've had this bag in this design for quite a while. Super cute. Do I actually use Ouija boards? You sure as certain can bet that I do not. Because I'm not messing around with that nonsense. No, indeed, I am not. But do I think this is extremely cute? Yes. Yes, I do. So, no Ouija boards for me, but yes to this adorable yarn bag. And if you're not familiar, like this little thing right here is kind of classically goes along with like the Ouija board kind of thing. But yeah, that's not my thing. I'm not into that. Seems a little risky to me. But anyway, but the bag is very cute. So I wanted this bag. And then they threw in one of these little stitch holder cords, which is super cute. It's 100 centimeters, so that's a great size. And I love this color. This is not a color that I would ever knit with, but it is a color that I will use as a cord for trying on knitting projects. So I got one of these to start with because I love this bag and I've been wanting one. Then I got their limited edition Legends collection bag because it's so fun and it's a great thick canvas. It's made with organic cotton and the canvas is super soft but still very sturdy, and it's got a great smooth, like good quality zipper on it. Like that is zipping with no problems. It's a nice gold rather than like a bronze. I love this curved top. So that is a great quality small project bag. It's got this very sturdy, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. Sturdy little like wrist strap. So that's great. Fine wool blends since 2017. Yeah, Legends collection. They also have this in black. So they have this ecru color, or they have black. They are reopening the Legends collections for pre-orders. So they closed it for a while. They are reopening it. So you can get these colorways. I think they're opening it up this month. I'm not sure. This first yarn that I got from them is not part of the Legends collection. This is just one of their, I think, normal, like in their usual rotation or in their usual collection. This is just one of their normal colorways. I think this is usually available. This is Lavender Field, and I got it in DK. This is 100% superwash merino. It is 225 meters and 100 grams, and it is beautiful. Super beautiful. Yeah. I love this. If they only had one available, I might buy a second one at some point. It won't be the same dye a lot, but I don't know. It's really beautiful. So I don't know. It may become a single skein project, or I might pair it with another kind of lavendery or coordinating DK skein, or maybe this could even become part. Oh my goodness, I just realized I could put this into a fade set and do the Pierre shawl by Stephen West. Wow. Okay, so that might have to happen. But I love this skein. It is beautiful. We'll put it there for continued enjoyment. The rest of these are from the Artemis collection, or not the Artemis, the Legends collection. So this first one, and I kind of wish I'd gotten more, but I also, these were a treat, so I couldn't go completely crazed and just black out and buy everything. One special skein was more reasonable, I think. So this is the Artemis sock. The colorway is bow and arrow. It's 425 meters and 100 grams. It's a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. This is beautiful. Artemis Yarns posted a picture on their Instagram of a sweater knit in bow and arrow. And that really was what made me want to buy more of these. I was like, oh, maybe I need a sweater's quantity of bow and arrow. I do not. I do not need a sweater's quantity of... Do you see this? This is not my entire stash. This is but three. This is but 3 shelves of my stash. There's another shelf up here. And then there's another china cabinet hutch. I guess we could call this a hutch situation. Full of yarn right next to it. So I do not need a sweater's quantity of this. I still want it though. You see these beautiful speckles? Yeah, this is beautiful. So this is destined for a very special shawl project, I am almost positive. And these next 3 are all the same colorway, but I wanted it on 3 different bases. This is the colorway and the bow and arrow. I loved the bow and arrow as well, and I really wanted it, but this was the straw that broke Claire's back. I wanted this colorway. This is Psyche. And the Legends collections are all based on Greek gods and Greek mythology. So Psyche is the goddess of the soul. And can we think of a colorway that is more appropriate to me? Also, I think I love this color with me and my skin tone. So this is Psyche. This is on the Artemis sock. It's a 4-ply fingering weight, superwash merino and nylon. Check these speckles. Beautiful. I got 1 skein on the sock. I'm holding it tenderly. Like, I'm not like gripping. I'm like, I'm like registering as I'm holding it that I'm like softly holding it. How ridiculous. I also got it on the DK. So yeah, this is the 4-ply 100% superwash merino Artemis DK. This is the Psyche colorway on a DK. And it's always, I think, interesting to see the colorways on different bases because they do come out a little differently. So, yeah. Oh, that's so squishy and plump. This has like a nice twist to it, and this has a very nice plumpness to it. So I like her bases. And then I don't know where the ball band went for this guy. I think it's, oh, I know where it went rogue. It's upstairs. It's under the coffee table. One of the Great Danes wagged their tail at my yarn, and this no longer has its tag. But this is the Suri silk. And I can't tell you the yardage because I don't have the ball band. The Great Danes have it. But this is Psyche on the Suri silk. And it is just as beautifully soft and fluffy as it looks. It's wonderful. So yeah, we've got Psyche on 3 different bases. And they're just completely gorgeous, and I love them. I also love these 2. I could not be happier with these yarns. These are completely beautiful. I've had them on my coffee table since I got them, and I've just been gazing upon them and their majesty. So this was my big yarn haul from Artemis Yarns, and I couldn't be happier. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Yeah. I think I shared with you guys in the last podcast that this year I am trying to be a lot more mindful of my and intentional of my yarn buying because I have gotten a better feel for the yarns that I like and don't like over the last year or so because I had never really delved into hand-dyed yarns or a lot of different bases and that kind of thing. So I've got a better feel for what I like now and what I will actually use and what I'll actually wear. So I'm being much more intentional with my yarn buying, which means that I feel more comfortable now buying these more luxury kind of yarns because I am confident that I will not just use all of these, but that I will truly enjoy them and I will also wear them. These are colors that I would 100% wear in my day-to-day life. Yeah, so these will not go to waste. They will be most thoroughly enjoyed. I am nothing but grateful for their existence. And same with the new project bags that come with them. So I'm not putting myself like on a yarn diet or a yarn fast or any of those kinds of things. I'm just being more intentional with the yarn that I get. So I have said no to several sales and I've said no to some destashes. I have not said no to some other sales or some other destashes. But again, I wasn't just getting everything that I could, or trying to put random stuff into the cart so I could get free shipping or etc. Like, I'm really trying to be more intentional this year. Yeah, and just this is what I like. And what I have in my like hutch, I also love those yarns. But there are some that I wouldn't buy again. Like, if I saw them now somewhere, I wouldn't buy them. So they'll still get used, like for socks or for gifts. There have been some things I've pulled out that will be used as prizes for things on the channel. So yeah, that's my just little like blurb, I guess, around my yarn hauls, because there will be more of them. I'm going to a fiber festival in a couple weeks, and I'm going to another fiber festival in April, and I actually just placed an order. Oh my goodness, so Sorella. I've never gotten any Sorella yarn, and except I take that back. I got one skein of Sorella on a D-stash on Etsy, like maybe a month ago, and loved it. I was 100% sold. I hadn't ordered anything from Sorella because I was still kind of, you know, figuring out myself and what I like, don't like, etc., etc. But I got this skein on D-stash, and it is amazing. The tonality of the skein is so good. I actually have it here. I'll just show it to you guys. It's so good. So, let's see, it's up here. This is a beautiful DK, and I love DK. I'm also like being more mindful of which bases I chose. So I'm not going to buy a colorway just because I love it if it's on a base that I know that I'm really not going to use. So, but DK, I've noticed I want more DK in my stash. So I love this. This is the Succulent. This is from her Spring Tonals collection. I don't know which year. But this is the Succulent colorway, and the tonality in this yarn is just completely amazing. And I think it shows up on camera pretty well. So when I got this yarn, I felt the yarn, I saw what the tonality looked like in person and what the colors look like in person. I was sold. I was like, this is a yarn that I will not only use, but I will fully love and enjoy, and I will wear this color in my day-to-day life. So Sorella just had an update. She released a collection last week. It's the Disneyland collection. So whimsical. If you know me, you know how I love whimsy. I host a magical make-along. I love whimsy. So when she had a Disneyland collection, I followed that thing as she released colorways and scents for candles and hand creams and wool washes and her tote bag, you know, all the stuff that goes along with the special collection. I followed it. I watched it like a hawk for like, I think it was 2 weeks. She released new stuff every day for like 2 weeks. And I had my evening completely blocked out. Nobody was allowed to talk to me for the first like 30 minutes the collection dropped, because I think it was like 8 p.m. on a Friday last week. I had Fantasia queued up to watch. I had my tea, I had a candle, I had my project, I had my computer open and I was refreshing it like every minute. I was ready for this collection. I knew exactly what I wanted, and I got, so I got yarn for a specific project. I didn't just buy yarn willy-nilly. I had a project in mind. I bought the project, or the pattern. It's in my Ravelry library. It's ready to go. I bought the yarn I needed for that specific project. And then I got one set of minis, because minis. And I did actually I liked the colorways that were in that mini set. I'm really glad she had some mini sets, because there were several colorways I really wanted and liked, but I couldn't really justify getting a full skein of them because like I have so much beautiful yarn already that I really want to use and enjoy. And I'm the kind of person who can get overwhelmed when there's too much of a good thing. So when I saw it towards the end, she released the 2 mini sets, and I was like, oh, perfect. Because one of the mini sets contained the colors that I would have gotten in a full skein if I did not already have such a wonderful stash. So I got a mini set of some of those colorways that I really, really, really liked. And I'm so excited. And I got some wool wash and some hand cream and some tea. I got all of the teas. So I'm going to be sharing that haul with you guys when it arrives. I think it's supposed to arrive in April or May. But I might do a completely separate video for that because I'm so excited. It's my first Sorella order. And I think it's going to be magnificent. So I think that's it for today. Oh, I guess I will share with you guys just very, very briefly some chatty things. So I'm going to be going to the Middle Tennessee Fiber Festival. I think that is what it is called. That's the Middle Tennessee Fiber Festival. It's near Nashville, and it's happening not this weekend. I don't think it's next weekend. It's the weekend after. I think it's the last weekend in March, I think. It's like the 24th. I think that's right. So I will be there that Friday. If you are going, let me know, and maybe we can hang out and knit and chat for a little bit, or, just say hello and meet each other. Also, like, I feel a little presumptuous saying this, but if anybody wants a picture or something, I am very happy to do that. So I can't really imagine why anybody might want to take a picture with me, but if you do, I'm happy to do that with you. Because every once in a while I do meet viewers of the podcast out in the wild, and it's really, really fun. And I just don't really know people. I don't have people in my personal life who are as into yarn as I am. So when I meet other people who are, it really makes me happy. So I'll be at that fiber festival soon, and I would be just overjoyed to meet you. Alex might be going with me. We'll see. So you might get a sneak peek at my husband as well, because he doesn't show up on the channel. He likes not being on the internet. So he doesn't ever really make an appearance on the channel, but he might be at the fiber festival with me. So we'll see. So that's coming up. And then our Hygge Make-Along, we already kind of talked about it a bit. It'll be over in 2-ish weeks. So yeah, March 20th. It's just going to be like a hard deadline because it's the first day of spring and we don't need all of the coziness anymore. Hygge is not necessarily specific to winter. My understanding is that Hygge is very much part of the Danish culture. It is a year-long thing. Like, Hygge does not just embody coziness as in warmth and light during a cold and dark time of the year. It is something that is lived out throughout the year and throughout your life. It is hospitality. It's creating a home that is full of love and joy and peacefulness. It is conviviality. It is community and connection. It embodies a lot of things. But for our Make-Along, it's more like that cozy. It's all of those things, and then a particular emphasis on coziness for the winter. So that'll be over when spring starts, because we don't need all that coziness so much once we've got spring, because we've got flowers and birds and whatnot, and we have the sun again. So that'll be over, but feel free to join us for these last couple weeks. There will be prizes. I don't know how many prizes or which yet. There will be yarn prizes though, so that's something to look forward to. I will announce all of that when the Make-Along ends. And it is a Make-Along, so knitting, crochet, weaving, spinning. If it has to do with yarn, it is welcome. And we do have our hashtag on Instagram for that. It's too long. It's the Mindful Knitter Hygge MAL, MAL. That's our hashtag on Instagram. It's down in the description below the video. It's too long of a hashtag. I might redo this Make-Along for next winter. We'll see. We'll see. So that's happening. Any other things? I'm still reading this series, A Court of Thorn and Roses, or A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah Maas. I think you say her, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And I'm still liking it. I finished the 3rd book, and I am currently reading the 4th book. I can't get it on audiobook through my Libby app, which is the library app where I can check out audiobooks and digital books for free. But so anyway, I've got the ebook that I've checked out through Libby. So I'm reading it like at night before I go to bed mostly. So that means I'm getting through it a lot more slowly than if I was listening to it on audio. Because if I was listening to it, I could just listen to it while doing dishes and cleaning the house and driving and knitting and in the shower and everywhere. But actually sitting and reading and not doing anything else, it's going a little slower. But I'm on the 4th book, and I do really like it. If you're not familiar with this series, it's a really good series. It's the world building is great. The author has created a very thoughtful, detailed, intricate universe, and it's really good. It is a romance series, and that's not typically my favorite. I have nothing against love, but I don't really need the spicy bits. This series doesn't actually have tons and tons of spiciness in it, which is kind of nice because I don't have to like skim through those as much. There are really only like 2 or 3 spicy bits in a book for this series. I think for the first one there was only 1, maybe 2. So, and they're not super long and whatever. So if you like those kind of things, you'd probably like them because I think the scenes themselves are written well. They're just not really my favorite, so they don't do anything for me. Yes. So, and then also since there's a romance aspect, you know, the author mentions people's forearms and muscular shoulders, etc. often. Or if it's a lady, like she'll talk about, you know, how beautiful her hair looks as it glistens in the air as she's throwing it over her shoulder and looking coquettishly over at you, whatever. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff, but that's really my only gripe. And it's not even a real gripe because that is an actual genre and a lot of people like that. So I just happen to not love romance novels most of the time, but the story and the character development and the universe is so good. I don't